Hello, welcome to the Center for Surrogate Parenting. My name is Bill Handel, and I am the founder of the center. And that was back in 1980. And this all came out as a result of my legal practice in third-party reproduction. That was, well over 25 years ago. Since then, matter of fact, a few years ago, we had over 1,000 babies born to the center. We are the premier surrogacy organization in the world, and there's no doubt about that. One thing has not changed in the last generation. Many things have. We certainly have become much more efficient. We certainly do a better job administratively. We certainly have computerized. The technology has changed dramatically, but our basic premise, our philosophy has never changed. And that is that in order to create a family with the help of a surrogate mother and the help of third-party reproduction, it takes teamwork. And it takes a combination of the surrogate mother, the couple, our staff, the doctors, the psychologists, all working together to make this happen. You're going to see a generation of experience today. You're going to meet some of our top staff folks here at the center, and we're going to show you how we approach this. We're also going to talk about what some of your responsibilities are. We want you to understand how we approach surrogate parenting, the unique approach that only occurs here at the Center for Surrogate Parenting. You've been here since 1991. In your experience, what is one of the main concerns almost every couple has?
It seems to me that the main concern a couple has, Bill, is their relationship with the surrogate mother. They want to know what is that relationship going to be like during the process, and what will that relationship be like afterwards. Will this surrogate mother be in their lives forever, or do they get the right to have their privacy of their family back again? And that seems to be the main concern that I get from couples. Put your mind back to when you were in high school. You have one or two very, very good friends, and you thought you would be friends forever. Then you go ahead and you graduate from high school. You go to different universities, you get married, your life moves on, and suddenly you think about that person with great fondness, but you haven't spoken to them for 2 or 3 years. That is surrogate parenting. When you are working on getting this pregnancy together and experiencing the pregnancy together, you are very, very close. It's a beautiful, close relationship that everyone is comfortable with. When the birth occurs, we have our first degree of separation. You as a couple have a newborn baby at home, and you're talking about diapers, not getting enough sleep. The surrogate mother has got children at home, and she's thinking about what school they should go to, what summer camp they should go to. You get what we call your first degree of separation. And you will still speak to each other once every month, once every 2 months, once every 3 months. And then all of a sudden, you will look at each other and say, oh my goodness, we haven't spoken to our surrogate mother. It's been a whole year. And you think of each other with great fondness, but that relationship starts drifting apart. And that's what we consider a healthy surrogacy.
The Center for Surrogate Parenting is often accused by competing agencies of being this mammoth, gargantuan organization. All of 15 people work here, by the way, and that we can't give the personal service that a single operation, a surrogacy agency with one person working there can give. How do you respond?
They have to pick on something, and that's the only thing they can pick on when they have to criticize the center. We are very personable. We know all of our couples. We know all of our surrogate moms. Couples are surprised when they call us 3, 4, 5 years later to ask us a question, and we say, oh my goodness, time has gone by so quickly. We know everyone in this program. We are real people. These are real couples in our program. Yes, we know every one of them. The safety of having a program our size is that when one of our employees goes on vacation, we have total coverage. When you work with an agency that they've only got 1 or 2 employees, when they go to Hawaii on a holiday, you're down for 2 weeks. And if you have an emergency, you cannot get hold of them. The center is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year round. There's always someone here to help every one of our couples.
Joanne, you're our West Coast program administrator. So tell me about your job.
Well, my job, Bill, is to be responsible for more of the day-to-day operation of CSP. I make sure that the staff is responding to clients' concerns in a timely manner, that our couples are being taken care of, that our surrogate moms are being taken care of, and things are going as they should. Couples come to me after their match with their surrogate mom if they have a question, a concern, anything that needs our attention will come to me, and it's my job to help solve it for them.
My name is Sherry Smith. I'm the Program Administrator for CSP's East Coast office here in Annapolis, Maryland. We opened this office in 1999 so that it would be easier for couples who live in the eastern part of the United States as well as overseas couples to come for their initial consultation, as well as for us to find surrogates who live in the eastern part of the United States. CSP has been part of my family, however, for many years, since my sister's children were both born through CSP's program, and this was an opportunity for me to give back the gift that my family received.
Faye, you're in a unique position because you first came as a client of the centers and then you came to work for us.
It was the early 80s, and my husband was an attorney, and he called a wrong number working on a case, Bill, and ended up with you. And there were no Yellow Pages listings, there was no internet then, and you, for me, was the light at the end of my tunnel. And he came home that night and said, "You won't believe this. I had a call today with someone, and he has a place called the Center for Surrogate Parenting." And we were at this very table a week later for our consultation. We were very successful and had 2 children, 4 years apart, a girl and a boy. And I stayed home and worked from home for a number of years in a nonprofit organization running that, helping couples through surrogacy. In about 1995, I started working for the center, and I've been working here full-time ever since.
Hillary, you and I go back, how long ago was it?
Gosh, Bill, we began working together in 1983. I did my original PhD thesis here with you on surrogate parenting. Since then, I've evaluated thousands of surrogate mom candidates and been very happily involved in this pioneering work.
So Hillary, why do you particularly enjoy working with the center?
One of the reasons I enjoy working with CSP is that they fully respect and appreciate the field of psychology and the role that the mental health professionals play here. For example, they allow us to take as much time as we need, use as many tools as we need to fully evaluate and screen every candidate. There's no pressure, despite the waiting list. We have ample amount of candidates to evaluate, which is lovely, and then they support us in taking as much time as we need to complete and do a very thorough examination of every candidate. Another reason CSP is a good agency for the mental health team is that even when we disagree, CSP will allow us to have the final say and evaluation of a surrogate mom. It is very difficult when you have infertile couples waiting who are eager to get started, but you cannot lower those standards due to a waiting list or compromise. And as challenging as it is when you have a mental health professional having the final answer, it allows us to feel like we can really serve the clients in a way that they need to be served.
Andy, you're an internationally recognized legal authority on surrogacy and reproductive law. Why do you recommend that couples work with CSP?
I think there's 2 things that distinguish CSP from all of their competitors. The first is their experience. With more than 25 years in this industry, there is no agency better equipped to handle any kind of scenario that could arise between a couple and a surrogate. They are proactive as opposed to being reactive, and that kind of experience cannot be found anywhere else in the country. The second factor is their screening. There is no agency that I have ever worked with that puts their surrogates through a more intensive screening process than the Center for Surrogate Parenting. By putting these surrogates through that kind of exhaustive screening process, our couples can go forward with full confidence knowing that they will go home with a healthy child.
Bill, we have a very unique matching process here at CSP. We would never consider matching the next couple that walked in the door with the next surrogate mom that walked in the door. Every couple has their wish list of what they're looking for in a surrogate mom, and every surrogate mom has her wish list of what she's looking for in a couple. So we're trying to grant as many wishes as we possibly can. By pre-screening our surrogate moms, we're getting to know them. The counseling team is getting to know them. Sherry, Faye, and I take a lot of time to get to know our couples. And while the counseling team gets to know the surrogate moms, we have a great deal of input as to who would be the best match for each couple and each surrogate mom. It's a true team effort all around.
When you retain CSP, one of the most important things we ask you to provide is a profile about yourselves, who you are, where you live, what it's like where you live, why you're asking the surrogate to help you. This is kind of a tough letter to write. That's what we hear from many couples. This is what is provided to the surrogates when they're making a decision about which couple they'd like to help.
When I was a client here, I thought that the matching process between the couple and the surrogate was simple. And now that I've been involved in it for this long, I realize there's an absolute science to this. And it is not only what the psychologists do, but it is Sherry and Joanne and myself, our participation in that process as well. By the time you're ready to be matched, we have a much better sense of your personal style in the time that we've spent getting to know you and writing your profile with you. And we contribute that with the counselors to help that matching process for you.
The intended parents and the surrogate mothers have a full-time, dedicated, professional, and very experienced mental health professional assigned to the case from the very beginning throughout their participation.
When a couple retains a counseling team associated with CSP, what can the couple expect?
Well, one of the many things you get when you retain the counseling team is actually two counselors, Bill. It's kind of unusual because you have the primary counselor, who I've described as screens the surrogate, helps the couple choose the right surrogate, and consults with them all the way through the practice. Also, the counseling team consults on a weekly basis. So you get the benefit of a counseling team of which almost all of them have over 20 years experience, very often in this very field.
The counselors have so many years of experience that they can see things in couples that you as the couple don't even see in yourselves. I remember during my first consultation here with Dr. Hillary Hannafin, she asked Bob and me where we had learned to delay the need for instant gratification in our lives. And at the time, we didn't even understand that we had even done that. But in the years that followed, I truly appreciate how clearly she saw us as a couple. And it is really, truly part of the magic that I think the counselors bring to this agency.
Quite surprised that it's very detailed, and I think that's what was the draw to it, is that it wasn't just a match just because there was two people that needed to meet a goal, but it was because it was a connection.
The screening process was definitely long and not an easy process. It's a necessary step in surrogacy. I wouldn't be a surrogate or use a surrogate for any agency who didn't screen as well as CSP does. I definitely felt more comfortable with them after the screening process.
I thought the screening process was very thorough. You know, it definitely gets CSP to know who you are and whether you're the right candidate. You know, I think that's really important for intended parents to know that CSP does do a good job of, you know, screening the candidates and making sure that not only are they mentally able to be a surrogate, but physically.
Karen, the center receives approximately 400 applications from potential surrogate mothers per month. Why is there such a high rejection rate?
We have a high rejection rate, Bill, because of the screening process in our program. Surrogate moms must have good pregnancy histories, their weight must be appropriate to their height, they mustn't be on any kind of welfare. Then we have the psychological screening of both the surrogate mom and her husband. We look at insurance issues, we look at what kind of work she does, is she picking up heavy items throughout the day. That's part of the process, but where we reject most of our surrogate mothers is a surrogate mother who doesn't have a good family network around her. So she might be a 10 with regards to she's going to be a good surrogate mom, she's going to follow medical advice, she's going to give the couple the baby, but she has no one else in her life. So when her car breaks down or her water heater explodes, the first thing she's going to do is get on the phone and phone her couple. And we at the center believe that the couple has the right to go back to their own lives after the birth has occurred. So if the surrogate mom doesn't have other connections or people that she can rely on and call, and she will always call our couple, she's not appropriate for our program. We want our couples to have the right to go back to their own lives. They may choose to be involved with the surrogate mom after birth, but we want it to be their choice and the surrogate mom's choice.
Rather than choosing a surrogate and then having her screening done, CSP takes a different approach. We do all her screening first so that when you're presented with a surrogate, we know that she's ready to begin.
Hillary, a question that I'm often asked. How many surrogate mothers do we have in screening at any given time?
Well, Bill, at any time there are 5 mental health professionals who screen the surrogate moms who are working with Center for Surrogate Parenting. All 5 of the mental health professionals have full-time practices strictly from the referrals that CSP sends us for screening the surrogate moms. So we always have surrogate mothers in screening. The mental health team is very busy with surrogate moms throughout the country.
If a couple came to you and asked about a recommendation regarding doing it themselves on the internet, finding their own surrogate mother and going through the process themselves, how would you counsel them?
I would first tell them I would not represent them. I think these days it is terribly foolhardy to go forward matching with the surrogate they find on the internet. If the industry average is that 90% of all women that apply to a surrogate agency are rejected, you've got to question where these women turn to when they're not permitted into these programs. And my suspicion is they're turning to the internet, and they are presenting themselves as suitable surrogates, and couples looking to save some money, or because they believe they have no other options available to them, are matching with these surrogates, not realizing that they're walking into a terrible trap. And I cannot encourage them enough to please work with a reputable program, whoever that program may be, but do not take that risk and work with a surrogate they match with on the internet.
Our surrogate mothers come to us because of a reputation, because of referral from other surrogate mothers, maybe doctors. Our surrogate mothers come to us from the internet when they simply hear about us. Why shouldn't a couple simply go on the internet and find a surrogate mother? It would be cheaper and ostensibly would be easier for them, wouldn't it?
You would think it would, Bill, but with all of our years of experience that we have here at the center, out of those 400 applicants that we receive, only 10 or 12 will be accepted in our program. That means that a couple sitting at home on the internet would have to go through hundreds, if not thousands of applicants to find the one that's a really good match for them.
Would a couple even have the skill set to know if a surrogate mother is appropriate or not?
I don't think a couple will know which surrogate mom is going to be good and which surrogate mom will ultimately be their nightmare. They just don't have those years of experience to be able to find out which surrogate mom is right for them.
With all the protections that our agency provides the surrogate mothers, why would a surrogate mother even go on the internet and advertise herself available to a couple?
That is a very good question, Bill, and perhaps the answer is she wasn't accepted by other agencies. The other thing that comes to mind is maybe she doesn't want to work with an agency because they have too many rules and regulations in place. She's anti-authority. And when her couple asks her to do things or her doctor asks her to do things, she's an anti-authority person. She's going to get very, very annoyed that the couple asks to be present for the birth.
The center's often been accused of having too many protocols, too many rules, too many regulations. Would you comment?
I think we do have a lot of those, but I think the reason for that is protection. We as an agency are trying to protect both the couple and the surrogate in ways that they cannot even see yet. And over the years, I don't think we've ever had a couple say to us that all of those rules and all of the protocol was a waste of their time.
We had a couple from England come and do a consultation with us. After the consultation, they were very, very happy, delighted with us, but they went and did more research and found another agency where they could get a surrogate mom instantly.
Well, they went with that agency and they did get matched and got pregnant. Unfortunately, that was pretty much where the services ended.
And it was a nightmare. The agency was never available to them. Roughly what the agency did was match them with a surrogate mother, and everything that happened after that was they had to take care of themselves.
The couple was left on their own to deal with medical insurance issues, an early birth, passport, birth certificate issues, and felt that they were just left out there hanging.
They ended up paying for her rent. They ended up paying her full wages. They had to help the husband's lost wages. Then in the middle of the pregnancy, the surrogate mom decided to relocate to a state where surrogacy wasn't a surrogacy-friendly state. They then had to fly her back to California for the birth and pay for the entire birth. That couple, who now do have a son, thanks to that surrogate mom, have now come to our agency for a second child, and they said they will never make that mistake again.
That is not something that we would ever do to one of our couples. We will hold your hand every step of the way.
I can fortunately say I've yet to have a single negative experience with a CSP couple and their surrogate. The horror stories, though, that I have been made aware of have involved typically smaller programs who do not adhere to the ethical standards that CSP does. We have seen situations where agencies have gone bankrupt, where trust funds have been seized by the IRS because of outstanding tax liens. We have seen situations with surrogates engaging in very high-risk behavior, including drug use, alcohol abuse during the pregnancy because of a failure of the agency to detect these situations or improperly identifying these problems during the screening process. We have seen surrogates come back and try to extort intended parents, again, because they were not suitable initially and the agency was incapable of detecting it. And the other issue we see more frequently are problems with insurance. Most of these smaller agencies are incapable, lack the sophistication to identify problems in insurance policies, and ultimately the intended parents get stuck holding the bag because the agency failed at the outset to identify these problems with health insurance policies.
You know, it's really hard to imagine a more important decision than choosing an agency that is going to assist you in creating your family. CSP has had many, many years of experience with this type of relationship. You really want to work with somebody who understands what the process is like, who our surrogates are, and how these relationships really work.
Couples come to CSP because of our over 26 years of experience. But there's 3 more words that describes us: caring, caring, caring.
An advantage to working with CSP is that it is a multidisciplinary team. There is a true strength that comes from one experience, but 2, when there is a problem, and there are always going to be problems in a pioneering field that is very, very human, that you have lawyers, doctors, financial issues to discuss, insurance issues and repercussions. The mental health team knows that all those aspects will be taken care of, in addition to the psychological repercussions being incredibly considered, respected, and solicited. When things become difficult in surrogate parenting, when things do go wrong, there is no one I'd rather be in the trenches with than the team at CSP.
Thank you for spending the time watching this video. I want to point out that surrogate parenting here in the United States is perfectly legal. And it doesn't matter if you're an infertile couple in France, in Japan, in Germany, in South America. If you're a gay couple from Norway wondering, can we do this? Is this allowed? The answer is yes. Surrogacy is allowed, and you're going to go home with your baby with no problems, assuming that you have the protections and the protocols that we provide. That's what the Center for Surrogate Parenting does for you. Any mistake you and the surrogate mother could ever make, we've encountered. We've solved the problem. Remember, we have a generation of experience, and we can make this happen for you. This is a safe haven for infertile couples who want the help of a surrogate mother to create a baby. Thanks for being with us.